Section 7 of a Traveller's Narrative, written to illustrate the episode of the Bab. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Nicholas James Bridgewater. A Traveller's Narrative, written to illustrate the episode of the Bab, by Abdul-L-Baha Abbas, translated by Edward Granville Browne. Section 7. Now in these years, AH 1266 and 67, throughout all Persia, fire fell on the households of the Babis, and each one of them, in whatever hamlet he might be, was, on the slightest suspicion arising, put to the sword. More than 4,000 souls were slain, and a great multitude of women and children, left without protector or helper, distracted and confounded, were trodden down and destroyed. And all these occurrences were brought about solely by the arbitrary decision and command of Mirza Taqi Khan, who imagined that by the enactment of a crushing punishment this sect would be dispersed and disappear in such wise that all sign and knowledge of them would be cut off. Ere long had passed, the contrary of his imagination appeared, and it became certain that the Babis were increasing. The flame rose higher, and the contagion became swifter. The affair waxed grave, and the report thereof reached other climes. At first it was confined to Persia, later it spread to the rest of the world. Quaking and affliction resulted, inconstancy and stability, and grievous pains and punishment caused acceptance and attraction. The very events produced an impression, impression led to investigation, and investigation resulted in increase. Through the ill-considered policy of the minister, this edifice became fortified and strengthened, and these foundations firm and solid. Previously the matter used to be regarded as commonplace. Subsequently it acquired a grave importance in men's eyes. Many persons from all parts of the world set out for Persia, and began to seek with their whole hearts. For it hath been proved by experience in the world that in the case of such matters of conscience, laceration causeth healing, censure produceth increased diligence, prohibition induceth eagerness, and intimidation createth avidity. The root is hidden in the very heart, while the branch is apparent and evident. When one branch is cut off, other branches grow. Thus it is observed that when such matters occur in other countries, they become extinct spontaneously through lack of attention and exiguity of interest. For up to the present moment of movements pertaining to religion, many have appeared in the countries of Europe, but non-interference and absence of bigotry having deprived them of importance, in a little while they became effaced and dispelled. After this event there was wrought by a certain Babi a great error and a grave presumption and crime, which has blackened the page of the history of this sect, and given it an ill name throughout the civilized world. Of this event the marrow is this, that, during the time when the Bab was residing in Azerbaijan, a youth, Sadiq by name, became affected with the utmost devotion to the Bab, night and day was busy in serving him, and became bereft of thought and reason. Now when that which befell the Bab in Tabriz took place, this servant, actuated by his own fond fancies, fell into thoughts of seeking blood revenge. and since he knew naught of the details of the events, the absolute autocracy of the Amir Nizam, his unbridled power and sole authority, nor was aware that this sentence had been promulgated absolutely without the cognizance of the royal court, and that the Prime Minister had presumptuously issued the order on his own sole responsibility, since, on the contrary, he supposed that, agreeably to ordinary custom and usage, the attendants of the court had had a share in and a knowledge of this sentence. Therefore, impelled by folly, frenzy, and his evil star, nay, by sheer madness, he rose up from Tabriz and came straight to Tehran, one other person being his accomplice. Then, since the royal train had its abode at Shemiran, he thither directed his steps. God is our refuge. By him was wrought a deed so presumptuous that the tongue is unable to declare and the pen loath to describe it. Yet to God be praise and thankfulness that this madman had charged his pistol with shot, imagining this to be preferable and superior to all projectiles. Then all at once a commotion arose, and this sect became of such ill repute that still, strive and struggle as they may to escape from the curse and disgrace and dishonour of this deed, they are unable to do so. They will recount from the first manifestation of the Bab until the present time, but when the thread of the discourse reaches this event, they are abashed and hang their heads in shame, repudiating the presumptuous actor and accounting him the destroyer of the edifice and the cause of shame to mankind. Now, after the occurrence of this grave matter, all of this sect were suspected. At first there was neither investigation nor inquiry, but afterwards, in mere justice, it was decided that there should be investigation, inquiry, and examination. All who were known to be of this sect fell under suspicion. Baha'u'lláh was passing the summer in the village of Acre, situated one stage from Tehran. When this news was spread abroad and punishment began, everyone who was able hid himself in some retreat or fled the country. Amongst these was Mirza Yahya, the brother of Baha'u'lláh, concealed himself, and a bewildered fugitive, in the guise of a dervish, with kashkul in hand. Note, a hollow receptacle of about the size and shape of a cocoa nut, round the orifice of which 2 chains are attached, at 4 points, to serve as a handle. It is used by dervishes as an alms basket. End note. Wandered in mountains and plains on the road to Rasht, but Baha'u'lláh rode forth with perfect composure and calmness from Acre, and came to Niavaran, which was the abode of the royal train and the station of the imperial camp. Immediately on his arrival he was placed under arrest, and a whole regiment guarded him closely. After several days of interrogation, they sent him in chains and fetters from Shemiran to the jail of Tehran, and this harshness and punishment was due to the immoderate importunity of Haji Ali Khan, the Hajib-ud-Dawlah, nor did there seem any hope of deliverance until His Majesty the King, moved by his own kindly spirit, commanded circumspection, and ordered this occurrence to be investigated and examined particularly and generally by means of the ministers of the imperial court. Now when Baha'u'lláh was interrogated on this matter, he answered in reply, quote, "The event itself indicates the truth of the affair, and testifies that this is the action of a thoughtless, unreasoning, and ignorant man. for no reasonable person would charge his pistol with shot when embarking on so grave an enterprise. At least he would so arrange and plan it that the deed should be orderly and systematic, for the very nature of the event is clear and evident as the sun, that it is not the act of such as myself." So it was established and proven that the assassin had on his own responsibility engaged in this grievous action and monstrous deed with the idea and design of taking blood revenge for his master, and that it concerned no one else. And when the truth of the matter became evident, the innocence of Baha'u'lláh from this suspicion was established in such wise that no doubt remained for anyone. The decision of the court declared his purity and freedom from this charge, and it became apparent and clear that what had been done with regard to him was due to the efforts of his foes and the hasty folly of the Hajib-ud-Dawla. Therefore did the government of eternal duration desire to restore certain properties and estates which had been confiscated, that thereby it might pacify him. But since the chief part of these was lost, and only an inconsiderable portion was forthcoming, none came forward to claim them. Indeed, Baha'u'lláh requested permission to withdraw to the supreme shrines of Karbala and Najaf, and after some months, according to Nabil's chronological poem, Baha'u'lláh was imprisoned in Tehran for 4 months. By the royal permission and with the leave of the Prime Minister, set out accompanied by one of the king's messengers for the shrines. Section 7